Hi, my name is Will Nunziata, and I'm a New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film, and I'm also a proud FENIX Global Artist Ambassador. Today, I am so excited to be speaking with the LA-based renowned actor, vocalist, writer, director, producer, dancer, Emily Goglia. For more on Emily, you can read more about her right below this video, but in the meantime, here is a sneak peek at the incredible talent of Emily Goglia.
Sara Lee, drop the H, just Sarah. Ali, yeah, that's okay by me. I love a cheesecake, white as pearl. And in a mention that chocolate swirl from the kitchen of the one I love. That wonderful Sarah, beautiful Sarah.
Well, hello, Emily. How are you?
I'm doing so well, Will. How are you?
I'm doing so great. Emily, I'm so excited that the audience got a little sneak peek of your incredible talent. And I just love the universe. I've always been such a firm believer that good people find each other, but in our case, we are connected in so many ways. We met back in 2015. We also know each other through a mutual friend, Jen, whom I was very fortunate to cast in a show of mine. And then my oft collaborator and amazing friend, Laura Shine, reconnected us. I mean, all these good people, and here we are 6 years later.
6 years? Oh my God, you're right.
It's unbelievable. I'm so excited to be speaking with you because we have so much to catch up about. There's the word, up.
Yeah.
Emily, before I get into like your amazing career, I want to know where you grew up and when you knew that you had this amazing singing voice.
I was born in Burbank, California, right outside of LA, and continued my LA life. When I knew I was going to sing my whole family is performers. We are all performers. My grandfather was one of the first presidents of the Television Academy, and he had a show on the air called Mike Stokey's Stump the Stars, or Pantomime Quiz. And he had like a huge billboard over Sunset Boulevard. He was one of the biggest celebrities of his time. And he came up with, whenever we play charades, the sounds like and on the nose and all of those, this was a big game show that he hosted that had everyone from Carol Burnett to of course, she's the only person I can think of right now, but literally every star in the world was on his television show, and they would do these incredibly long and difficult charades. And so now when we play charades, sounds like and on the nose and everything comes from that show.
Wow.
I can talk about him. But and he won like the first Emmy, and it's so performance comes like in my family.
It's in your bone marrow.
Yes, exactly. It's in my bone marrow. And I'm just going to finish the story. You can cut this out, but he just never liked doing interviews. Like, he didn't understand that interviews and publicity was part of the game, you know? And he was very quiet. He kept to himself and like just kind of did his job and came home. And so he's not like a household name, but he's a household name for me and for a lot of people of that time period. Like, I'll be like, oh, do you know my grandfather Mike Stokey? And everyone's like, oh, he was my favorite TV show growing up. And that's fun to
I love it. Well, you know, I'm sure that your grandfather worked with my grandfather. My grandfather was a man by the name of Bill Wendell. He was one of NBC's first radio staff announcers with Don Pardo. He was as announcer for Ernie Kovac's show, Truth or Consequences, Tic Tac Doe, was David Letterman's announcer from 1980 to 95. But I am sure our grandfathers worked together.
I'm positive.
Oh my God. See, we're not cutting any of this out, Emily.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
My Italian paisan. Now listen, you are such an amazing singer, actress, performer, you're just like old school, and I don't mean that with a negative connotation, obviously. You're an old school broad, and you commit to every lyric, whether it's drama, whether you're a part of your USO Show Troupe, giving me like old school Andrew Sister vibes, to performing with Postmodern Jukebox, getting millions of views all over YouTube. I want to know, Emily, when did you decide to unapologetically say, you know what? I'm a little old school, but I want to bring it to the 21st century, because you do beautifully fuse everything together.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. That is absolutely my goal. I want to take the old school, what made us, like what our blood is in the theater, the Judy Garlands and the Lizas, and God, the Lizas, and obviously that whole family. Speaking of familial blood.
Right, well, you have this unapologetic, literally, you can see when you perform, Emily, the veins, old school giving away of yourself as a vessel and just giving it to an audience.
Thank you. I love that. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's where we come from, and you put a little bit of modern humor on it and a little bit of a spin, and we're still in the same place. Like, and I love that. And I've always been drawn to, I grew up on 40s music, and when everyone was listening to NSYNC, as much as I love NSYNC, I was listening to the Beatles and to the Rat Pack. Like, Dean Martin is my favorite. He is my idol. Like, and
don't even get me started. You literally, forget my twin brother, Anthony. You literally could have been my twin, because in my house, literally the story goes, while kids were listening to NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, I was singing Party of One on the swing set in first grade, Fly Me to the Moon.
Yes, absolutely.
Why are you my twin?
I love it. I'm happy to be your twin.
You can be Dean, I'll be Jerry, and we can just call it a day. Because that's what I studied. I studied Dean Martin, Jerry. When Anthony and I were performing together as a duo, it was Abbott Costello, Carol Burnett, Julie Andrews, the Smothers Brothers, Sonny and Cher. And I can get that old school vibe from you. But again, what you do so brilliantly is that you have an ability to fuse it to today, but at the same time, I think, like, for example, pre-interview, you were talking about how much you love being a part of the USO Show Troupe. And you were in Australia, I believe, right? Yeah. And you had Americans coming up to you being like, oh my God, we miss American singers, Americana. It's like warm, it's like going up to a warm, familiar blanket. But it's in a fresh way that you perform these songs.
Yeah, I think the USO is the perfect example, because it started in the 40s, 1944, 1944, and we have kept it. The USO Show Troupe, there are a lot of Andrew Sisters groups out there, impersonators and things like that, but the USO Show Troupe is the actual real group that traveled with Bob Hope and Jack Benny, and it's still going strong, and we are still doing the Andrew Sisters and the Supremes and everything that feels like old Americana. And also we do Adele and Bruno Mars and everything to fuse today with yesterday and keep it alive and perform what everyone wants to hear.
Well, I love that, because you are in an unapologetic show don't tell way, saying to all the kids out there, lean in. Yeah, that you thought that song sounded like Adele, that was written in 1919. Or for the older folk out there, as you put an Andrew Sister spin on an Ariana Grande song or an Adele song, you were making them realize through a show don't tell, listen to the lyrics. It's all great storytelling.
And everything comes back around.
Yes, and Emily, you are a storyteller. And you could easily rest on your laurels with this. You were born with a great singing voice, period. But you take it to the next step. Again, not only paying homage to Andrew Sisters, or going on Postmodern Jukebox and putting on these fresh takes with that amazing group. Ariana Savalas is a good friend of mine, and I know
I love her. She's my soul sister. I love her.
Oh my God, give her my love. I love her, love her, love her. She was in the Aznavour musical I created and directed. I love her. And we're going to collaborate on something, because I would tell you this. Your one-woman show, award-winning one-woman show stages, of what I've seen of it, it is not a cabaret. It's a theater piece in the old school way that Lena Horne laid in her music when it played at the Nederlander Theater, or Elaine Stritch at Liberty when it played at the Public and then on Broadway at the Neil Simon. You have created, you're a creator, and you have created an opportunity for yourself where people can lean in to you as an every woman, as someone we can relate to, laugh with, cry with, original songs or songs that are pre-existing. But again, this one-woman show stages, can you tell I'm excited? I want to hear more about it. I want to know how it began, what's up with it, and where is it going?
Well, stages began, I moved to New York to be closer to the man I thought I was going to marry. And I don't say that I was following him. I say that in he had moved across the country and I'd always wanted to live in New York. Like I said, I grew up in LA. And I got there, and 3 weeks later, he broke up with me. And it was because he fell in love with a man, which is wonderful. I'm very happy for him. I'm happy for them. I think it's amazing.
Thus the tagline of stages, which I love. Can you tell everyone?
Yeah, the tagline is stages. Girl meets boy, boy meets boy, girl meets drink.
Bum, button.
Boom. And I started realizing as I met up with my friends in New York and I made more and more friends, that I started telling these stories of what I was going through with being a new girl in the city, and I'd broken my foot. And so I was like limping around the city with my dog and my breakup and everything. And I started telling these stories over and over in the exact same way. And I was getting the exact same laughs. And I realized, am I writing a show? Is that happening right now? And these songs that we all know so well kept like, the same songs kept coming into my head. Like I was walking around singing Case of You by Joni Mitchell. And I was like, sad and depressed and walking around in the snow, and I'd never experienced snow. And I was like, okay, no, Emily, you are not going to be this woman singing to herself, walking around New York. You're going to do something with this.
With a limp.
With a limp.
But see, that's old school Carol Burnett. Like, not only are we eavesdropping in on the stakes of a possible crazy woman on 9th Avenue between 47th and 48th, but mama's got to get through the day, the jungle, the concrete jungle known as New York, with a crutch in a dream.
Yes, just a crutch in a dream.
And maybe a dash of hope.
Yes.
In the martini glass.
In a martini glass. Exactly. So what I did, I wrote it down, and right around that time, the 54 Below Concert Lab said, hey, we're looking for people who have a show. And every week I performed, I think 10 minutes or 7 minutes of it for 3 weeks. And then at the end of it, I did 20 minutes of the show and got feedback from wonderful people like yourself. And it was great because it forced me, this thing I'd been thinking of, like, I think I'm writing a show. I want to do a show. I want to do a show. It forced me to put it down on paper and actually get it together. And at the end of that, I got a lot of positive feedback and was offered a slot at 54 Below. So the first time I ever put up my cabaret was at the legendary 54 Below, which had been my goal of that year. Like, I'd written it down. This is what I want to do this year. I want to perform at 54 Below. And I put the energy out there, and it came back to me. And the show is really fun. Like you said, it is a theater piece. It's not just a lot of cabarets, which are fun, but they tend to be, hey, look at all the parts I played, or hey, look at all the parts I want to play, and just a bunch of different songs. And I really go on a journey. I go through the 5 stages of grief and tell you very honestly and bluntly what I went through during this breakup that, yes, everyone can relate to. I have people come up to me, and even if they haven't had a man leave them for another man, which in the theater world is very common, everyone's gone through a breakup. Everyone has had heartbreak. And
that's right.
Just because like mine was in this specific way, I was really, it's not about the breakup. It's about finding myself and living it and doing it all in a very, very comedic way. And I'm drinking on stage the whole time. And so is the audience.
I love it.
time I get to a stage, I drink, the audience drinks. I have this like huge vodka soda like tower next to me, and I go through it, and so I'm getting loose, the audience is getting loose, and it's a really fun.
But see, I love that. And look at Emily, you with your show and setting the terms, you are creating a communal experience that even before you open your mouth, you are showing the audience, we are in this together. And by the way, it's okay to have a fun time tonight. And Emily, you have an it factor about you. In the past week, I've watched everything and anything I could get my hands on. And when I say that you have an it factor about you, it's beyond your talent. It takes only, it's a very special quality where the moment you step on stage and you root for someone, you don't know why, that is the it factor. That's my gauge of it factor. And you have it. You have it. I mean, has anyone ever told you that? Oh, honestly.
You know, with my show, not specifically, no. So thank you. But what's really interesting, since we're talking about my show, is that I've had a lot of people, and the feedback that I get about it is that I walk on stage and people are like, you know what? She's gonna be okay. She's talking about a breakup. She goes to a really dark place. She goes to light places. We go on this huge journey, but it's okay going through the journey because we know that she's gonna be okay. And I think it's like a really nice, interesting compliment.
Absolutely, and especially in a time like today. I mean, we just went through a 13-month trauma that might take years, if not decades, to get over. And the fact that your show, I'm sure you're continuing to fine tune it. The fact of the matter is, it seems like a show like yours, Stages, is very few and far between. But, you know, I really want to affirm that in my gut, as I think about it, it's going to be a light at the end of a lot of people's dark tunnels to be able to say, like those people that have said to you, wow, she's going to be okay. And thus, them able to look in the mirror during and after your show and say, I'm going to be okay.
We're all going to be okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. I get such a beautiful spiritual thing about you, Emily, that I really believe you were placed on this planet to serve, that you were meant to be a vessel. You know, people can see you online, your millions of views on Postmodern Jukebox, you know, being on television with Christina Aguilera, performing for millions on the CW, but you have a spiritual, beautiful, serving nature about you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I do.
I know I'm asking you to be cocky right now, but I feel it. I feel it.
Oh, thanks. I do really love helping people, especially emotionally and through, and yes, realizing that we're all going to be okay. And I love helping people and telling people that art is the way to do it. That art, like, this was so healing for me. And I think that writing your own pieces of art, whether it's a song or it's a scene or it's a sketch or it's something for TikTok or whatever it is, like really finding yourself is so beautiful and important for everyone to do, especially in the world of musical theater where so often we feel like we have to be put into a box.
That's right.
You know, it's like this person, the first person that did it was tall and blonde, and so therefore for the rest of the time they'll be tall and blonde, and we're working right now in the theater community to show that that's not true, and that people of all shapes, sizes, colors can do all of the parts. And I think that writing for yourself and finding who you really are and what your spark is, and we all have it.
Absolutely. And I think through your actions, Emily, you are also showing all people of all ages, sizes, creeds, and colors that forget the box that this business of show may put you in. Create your own box downstage center, because no one else is going to do it but you. And you're an inspiration to those artists out there who might feel stuck because you're just doing the thing.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. That's really
well, it's the truth. And I know in our pre-interview, I was like, I have so much to say, but I don't want to reveal it because I wanted to share it for everyone else to see. And in the meantime, for more on Emily, you can read more about her below this video. And just, Emily, I'm so grateful for our time. And I'm so grateful that we reconnected. And I truly hope that we can find something to collaborate on.
Me too. Well, I can't wait.
Have a great one. Thank you.
In the digital age, artists and bands struggle to make a living. In fact, only a small number of artists can live off their craft. For the 98% of artists that don't have the luxury of being signed to a label, it's tough. But artists deserve to live off their art. Wherever you are around the world, appreciation of music does not change. FENIX brings bands and their fans together, whilst allowing bands to properly monetize their passion. The FENIX app will directly connect bands and fans with no need for middlemen. We're utilizing the blockchain to give the power back to the artist once and for all. Join FENIX, join the change.